And we are back. Welcome back, everybody, to the live stream. This time we are here for the qualifying session ahead of the Mexico City Grand Prix. I am JW97, and I'm joined once again by future Lamborghini driver, Ra.
Yep, hello everybody.
Yep, we are here for the qualifying session, and as you can see, it's going to be a completely bone-dry qualifying session. No rain expected at all during this qualifying session. It's going to be bone-dry. Whether that's going to be an omen for tomorrow, we'll have to wait and see. So without further ado, let's get into the qualifying session. So whilst we're waiting then, guys, leave us your prediction on who you believe will be eliminated in Q1. What are your predictions, Ra?
I'm gonna say both Manners, both Williams, a Hassan and Alfa Romeo.
Okay, I'm going to say both Williamses, both Hassers, an Alpha, and a Manor. In fact, I'm going to go risky. I'm going to actually go for a Manor to actually go through. I'm going to go a bit bold on this one. So, because of the back street, that could help them a little bit. So, anyway, as we're waiting to get underway for the Mexico City Grand Prix qualifying session, we will be in the garages as we are right now. Of course, we will have Chris Chatfield back in the car for the AlphaTauri, of course, because if you didn't see in practice, of course, we had Ruslan Proxyuk in the car in his place during practice, but we'll have Chris Chatfield back in the car this time by as we wait to get the session underway then. For Q number 1, 18 minutes. Who's going to be the first to get out there on the racetrack? Again, if you've just joined us, the tyres we are using here for Mexico will be the super soft tyres, and of course the championship could be decided tomorrow if Franco Lopez outscores Armar Car Mikos Gal by a certain amount of points. So anyway, the first car is going to be coming out on the track then is going to be Roland Motrin, so he's going to be first out on track in the pink Racing Point. And he'll be preparing for his next lap quite soon then. So just looking at some prediction in the stream chat. Chris has said both Manners, both Hassan, both Alphas. Fonchanik has said both Manners, both Hassan, both Williamses. Okay, so some split predictions there that time by. As now we get some more cars on the track, as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen. Motrin on track, we've got Roberto Garma on track, Byrne on track, De Rosa on track, Lopez on track, Chung on track, Martinez on track, Gomez on track, and Galloway on track. And then they are joined by Armar Car, so both Mercedes is now out on the racetrack. As Motrin now then will make his way towards the S's now then, so flicking the car in for the left, then into the right, and then into the next section of S's we will go now then. As Motrin went over a little bump there that's on this version of the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. Of course, it is the 2017 version of Mexico City, if anybody is wondering. As Motrin now then makes his way towards the stadium section, where the crowd will be bursting into life, it's fair to say, in the ex-baseball stadium. Through the stadium section we go now then, as Motrin goes into the second to last corner. So flicking the car in as he now rounds the final turn, as he will now start his first flying lap of Q1. All 22 cars are out on track, so no chance of Motrin to be held up as he starts his first flying lap now then of Q1, and of course he'll be the one setting the benchmark time for everybody to beat in this session. As Motrin now then goes down this very, very long straight. It's a very long run to the first corner for tomorrow's race, and it does kind of narrow out, hence why we do see quite often some lap 1 crashes at this track. Remember the most notable one back in 2015 at the first ever race here, Roman Quark having a very huge crash at turn 1 where he barrel rolled his car and basically put him out of the race, of course. Well, obviously, but it also involved 2 other cars as well. I think it was Bartosz Kloss and Matthias Turwick that were involved in the first corner crash as well back in 2015. So a bit of a note there as well. We haven't seen a bigger crash like that since 2015 where somebody has rolled over, but we have seen quite a few start crashes in the past into the first corner. As Motrin, whilst we were speaking there, did a 21.496 in the first sector. He'll soon be approaching the end of sector 2, just going around these section of corners, and he does a 49.848 in the second sector as he will now approach the stadium section now then, as he flicks the car in for the right-hander, as he will now make his way in towards the stadium section, flicking it in through the hairpin, through the left, then into the right, and then into the second to last corner now then will go Roland Motrin as he flicks it in through the second to last turn, through the final corner, and onto the pit straight goes Roland Motrin now then as he makes his way onto the pit straight, and across the line will go the Hungarian, and he does a 1 minute 17.158. That's the benchmark of time. Evan Byrne now then, across the line he will go, the Irishman in the Renault, and he finds himself 8 tenths behind in second place. Roberto Gamba in the Ferrari, across the line he will go, slots into second. Kirishima De Rosa in the McLaren. He now slots to second himself. Gabriel Gomez in the Alfa Romeo comes down the pit straight, across the line. He will now go, and he slots into fifth. Laura Chung crossed the line, goes into fifth herself there. So behind her teammate Roberto Garma. Jake Galloway crosses the line. Only P6 for him that time, by. So not good first laps for the two Renaults at the moment. Rosetta Martinez crosses the line, goes into P7. Here comes Franco Lopez, crossed the line, and he goes fastest by a 10th ahead of Motrin. Here comes Amar Kar, who top practice, but it doesn't look like he's on a very good lap. And he's way off in the second sector, because he was up on his personal best. Where has he made the mistake? Let's have a look. And it was at the chicane just after the first sector.
It was up by 55 thousandths, and he just locks up badly and goes wide.
So we haven't really seen a true representation of Amar Kar then in this session, and as a result, it has cost him quite a lot, and he slots into ninth. As a result, here comes Franco Gamba in the Red Bull, and he goes into fourth position. Not a very good first lap there for Franco Gamba. Here comes Chris Chatfield, the man who nearly got a podium last time out in USA. Only P8 this time by, as Gal goes fast as he goes into the 1 minute 16. So 1 minute 16.807 as Roke slots into third, gets in front of his teammate Motrin. Here comes Andrea Videri in the Alfa Romeo across the line. He will go now then, and he goes 15th, just slots behind his teammate Gomez. Here comes Kirby, crossed the line, goes 14th. Fraser goes into 8th, a very good lap for him there indeed to get in front of Byrne and Chung, of course. 13th for Sontag. Here comes Jamie Griffiths across the line, P12 for him as Willows goes into 5th, getting a healthy bit of slipstream from the Williams in front, it's fair to say. Kupok goes into 6th, so slots behind Willows for the moment, as here comes Amelia Wilson in the manor across the line. She will go the last one to cross the line, and she slots to 19th, putting both Alfa Romeos currently on the back row of the grid, Ra.
Yep, indeed, not the best laps for those two. And yeah, looking at this, Red Bull, Mercedes, and Racing Point are very close to each other, pretty much in Sector 1, but you see the Sector 2 or Sector 3 can determine who's going to get pole at the moment.
Indeed so, and like we said, we still need to see a proper representation of Carr, because he's made a mistake, and as a result, finds himself in the drop zone as a result, but I would imagine he'll get a better lap in just a little bit, really. But at the moment, the people in the drop zone right now are Martinez, Carr, thanks to his mistake, Wilson, Kirby, Gomez, and Videri, the two Alphas currently on the back row of the grid at this point in time. We have got another prediction in that came in just before we started the lap. So Lee Bailey has said both Manners, both Williams, and both Alfa Romeos. And I don't know why you put Renault at the end there, mate, because Alfa Romeo do not have a... Because Renault, because last time I checked, Alfa Romeo have a Ferrari engine, not a Renault engine. So yeah, anyway, as now we look at Rosetta Martinez, who's now into the pits. And he will be going out in just a little bit for his second flying lap. Currently outpacing Wilson in the session. 17th and 19th so far for the two Manners, so a decent performance. But at the moment, both Williams is currently in the top 16 at the moment, Ra.
Yep, indeed, but how long will it stay that way? Won't be long at the moment with Carr, who is in the drop zone. He can improve significantly.
Yeah, indeed, and of course, as we mentioned, he made that big mistake because, as we mentioned, he was 55 thousandths up in the first sector. But whether he was any quicker than Lopez, Gal, or Rogue, that would have been another question, really. But that's that. As Kirby has gone back into the pits himself, as we just wait for the second flying laps to happen. Oh,
yeah.
So it shows how much that mistake cost him there, really, as Wilson having to navigate herself there around two Williamses. But Evan Byrne is going to be the first one to do a second flying lap. As hello, Rosetta. I think you may have seen the news that Ray Hall is going to be at Lamborghini next season. So unfortunately, you will not be at Lamborghini in 2021. As we now look at Evan Byrne, who's just come out onto the racetrack as he goes through the first three corners now then. And using a tad bit of curb on the outside there, and then using a lot of it in the second part there. But also on track we have Roland Motrin, so we currently have two cars out now then, as Evan Byrne looks to see if he can improve. It wasn't a very good first lap for the two Renaults, it's fair to say. P11 and P15 at the moment for Byrne and Galloway. Byrne currently outpacing Galloway at this point in time as he just makes his way out of the double right-hander before making his way towards the S's then. So through the left, then the right, and then into the left-hander we will go, as he now make their way through the section of corners. So through the right and left-hander now, then we'll go Byrne, as he'll be preparing for his second fly lap quite soon. He'll be hoping there's no traffic by the time he comes out of the pit lane, as now As Rosetta has actually said in the stream chat there, I was initially planning to make a return to Formula E, but DTM is a certain possibility. Well, you are an ex-champion of DTM, let's not forget, in 2018, so it could be possible, but we'll have to wait and see, of course. Now that we know that DTM, FE, and World Champ Car are going to be treated as more of an equal pegging to the other series, of course, F2 still being a feeder series to the top class, but DTM, FE, and World Champ Car are going to be there as like optional career paths, you could say. Doesn't necessarily mean that people who compete in it next season won't be able to be in the top class in the future. It just simply gives you an option, really, if you don't want to ever come back to the top class. So anyway, we started laps now then, as Byrne finds himself 21 thousandths down in the up in the first sector there. As, I kind of got a little bit ahead of myself there, because usually the first sector, not really much of skill in that. It's only the first chicane really that really counts in that sector, but the real part of it, of course, is the last three sectors, of course, because this is where most of the twiddly bits are, as I like to call it. So through the S's now then goes Byrne, as he will now be approaching the second sector. As let's see what his second sector is going to be like, as he's actually down by 63 thousandths of a second. I did not mean that, by the way, Evan, if he's watching. It's not like I had Houdini had a fortune teller globe in front of me. I literally didn't have a clue that you was going to be down in the second sector. So as anyway, into the second to last corner there, as I protect my arse there for a minute, through the final corner and onto the pit straight now, then we will go, and Byrne is going to cross the line, and he does not improve, stays in 11th. Mottram, meanwhile, doesn't improve, stays where he is at the moment. We now look at Roberto Gamba, who's up on his personal best at the moment. Roberto currently in 9th, just behind his cousin Franco, who didn't have the best first lap, it's fair to say, especially compared to his teammate Miklos Gau, who's currently at the top of the timing sheets. Here comes Roberto Gamba now then, as he comes around the final corner, and across the line now then will go the Italian, and let's see what he can do, and he improves but remains in 9th, still over a second though behind Miklos Gau, as De Rosa's going to get a little bit of slipstream from that manner in front there, as De Rosa crosses the line and no improvement, stays where he is at the moment, which is P7. Galloway improves but stays in 15th, so Loreno's still struggling at the moment at this part of the session, as here comes Andrea Videri. Across the line will go the Italian. He's on improvement, and he gets up into 90th position. They're still in the drop zone. Gal does not improve. Chatfield is up on his personal best, and he goes up to 9th, gets himself into the top 10. Franco Lopez, he's not up on his personal best, and he stays in P2 for the moment. Here comes Gabriel Gomez. He's up on his personal best across the line, and he gets up into 16th, pushes Sontag into the drop zone. Martinez doesn't improve, and nor does Fraser. As now we look at Sontag across the line, no improvement for him. Chung doesn't improve. His car goes fastest by 0.3 of a second, as Gamba meanwhile is on improvement, but only into 9th, so he's struggling in this session so far. Roke doesn't improve, as we now look at Dudu Kirby now then. On the final corner, that by the way pushes Gomez back into the drop zone as a result of car going to the top of the timing sheets, as Kirby improves but stays in last position. As we now look at Willows now then, who's down on his personal best. Willows currently in 6th position as he makes his way through into the final two corners of the racetrack now then, as Willows will come down the pit straight, and across the line will go the two-time champion, and he stays where he is for the moment. We now look at Wilson, who's up on her personal best at the moment, currently on the back row of the grid. Let's see how far she can climb up in the manner. Across the line then goes Wilson. She's on improvement, and she goes up to 15th. That's a big improvement for Amelia Wilson. Gets her out of the drop zone, but look who it pushes into the drop zone. Jake Galloway is in the drop zone at the moment in the Renault.
Ferrari effect has come into play for Galloway, it seems. But this time he's in a Renault.
Yeah, see, well, we have just mentioned as well, the Renaults appear to be struggling at the moment. I mean, Byrne is only in 13th position at the moment, and Galloway now finds himself out of the drop zone thanks to Wilson getting herself up into 15th position. A very big improvement there from the American driver, who will, of course, be moving over to Haas next season, and, of course, as a result of Manor pulling out of the series. So, hello again, Dennis, who's just joined us in the stream chat. Yeah, again, is Jamie Griffiths is going to go out on track first. I think he was the only one that got left behind that time by, but still so far in the cusp of the top 16 at the moment, which is enough to get you through into Q2 at this point. But he's going out onto the racetrack with just under 7 minutes to go of Q1 as Griffiths goes out on track. There's still a few more cars out there who still need to come back into the pits. But Griffiths now then through into the first three corners of the racetrack, through turn 2 and then into turn 3 now, then he will go, as he will now be preparing to start his next flying lap very, very soon now then. As Griffiths now then makes his way towards the left-right chicane. And it looks like somebody else is also out on track as well. I'm just trying to see who it might be. And I think it's Evan Byrne. So Evan Byrne is also out on track. He probably feels like he needs to improve, given that his teammate is currently in the drop zone as we speak. Griffiths through into the S's section he goes, through the right left, and then into the next section of corners. He will now go now then, so through the right, and then into the left-hander he will go now then, as he makes his way down this little back straight now then, before making his way towards the stadium section. Hopefully there's no traffic that come out of the pits for his sake, of course, but let's not forget as well that usually when people come out of the pits, they're still trying to build up speed, so it gives them possibly a few seconds worth perhaps down that straight to get past them before their lap inevitably gets ruined. So let's wait and see on that, as Griffiths now then rounds the Mansell corner, as he will now come around the final corner of Peraltala. And now Griffiths starts his second flying lap of the session now then, as he looks to try and improve a little bit further from his 16th position. As Griffiths starts his lap, there is a car just in front, but I think it is just about far away from him to be held up. So I don't think Griffiths is going to get held up on this lap. I think he's just going to get a clean lap in. As Griffiths now then approaches the first corner now then, so through turn 1 and then into turn 2 he will go now then. Just flicking the car in through the section of corners, as he'll be now approaching the end of sector 1 now then. Let's see what his first sector is like compared to his personal best, and he is actually just only 15 thousandths down on his personal best, 2 tenths off the car in the first sector. So let's see if he can try and recover that in the second sector as he goes around the left-right chicane now then. Approaching the double right-hander now then will go the Welshman, as he rounds this right-hander now then before approaching the S's he will go. And let's see what Griffiths' second sector is going to be like as soon as he rounds these S's he's coming up towards. So through the left, right, left again, and then into a slower right-left sequence he will now approach through the right and then into the left-hander we go. Let's see what his second sector is like, and he's 70 thousandths down off his personal best, so he's lost a little bit more, but still it's possible for him to gain back in this last sector. Depends on how he's able to hook it up. Into the stadium section he will go now then before approaching the hairpin. Rounding the left-hander he will go now then through the right, and then into the final 2 corners now then will go Jamie Griffiths into the second to last corner, and then rounding out the final corner will go Jamie Griffiths, and across the line now then will go the Welshman. Let's see what he's able to achieve. Across the line he will go. Can he find some time in the last sector? And no, he can't. He actually gained a little bit of time, but he's still not up on his personal best. He stays where he is in P16. Byrne, again, not up on his personal best at the moment, and he's way off of car in the second sector. The Renault's clearly struggling around here at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, as Byrne crosses the line and he does not improve, stays in 13th as Vederi just starts a lap now then. As we another look with Roberto Gamba, he is up on his personal best by a 10th in the middle sector compared to his personal best. He might get a little bit of slipstream, in fact, from the Alfa Romeo in front. Through the second to last corner he will go of Mansell, and then into the final corner will go Roberto Gamba as he makes his way onto the pit straight, and across the line now then will go the Ferrari driver. And can he improve? Yes, he can. He gets up into 8th position. So up into P8 goes Roberto Gamba, as Galloway's down on his personal best. He was actually up on his personal best, but now finds himself down in the middle sector by 37 thousandths of a second. So can he try and find some time back in the last sector? Because otherwise, if he doesn't, he might find himself in trouble here. It all really depends on how quickly he can get back around the track, of course, to try and do one more flying lap, which could be a bit tight for him. Here comes Jake Galloway now, and as he makes his way onto the pit straight, across the line will go the Renault driver, and he does not improve. He stays in 17th, so it could be trouble for Galloway, as Gal was up on his personal best in the middle sector but loses time in the last sector and stays in second place. Gamba just about to start a lap, as meantime De Rosa is up on his personal best. Let's see what Kirishima De Rosa can do now then, as Q-Pot was the one that got left behind on this part, as De Rosa gets up into 6th. He gets in front of his teammate Willows. Car meanwhile doesn't improve, says on 1 minute 16.433, as I think was Willows on a lap there, or was he just about to improve? I'm not sure. Or was he about to start a lap? As Chatfield gets it all crossed up in the last sector there, and he was up on his personal best in the middle sector, but he did lose some time in the middle sector, so that might have put a nail in the coffin as to him improving, but we'll see. Chris Chatfield now then, across the line he will go, and he does improve still, up into 11th position. So despite that little mistake, he does improve, so maybe more time to find for Chatfield. Vederi does improve, stays in 21st. He could be out of it. Here comes Lopez, comes around the last 2 turns on the racetrack now then, as Lopez is now going to cross the line in the Mercedes, as it doesn't look like he's going to be improving. The championship leader crosses the line and he stays in 3rd position. Rote crosses the line and he improves to go up into 3rd position, so a big improvement there for George. Rote gets in front of Franco Lopez, as Gomez is up on his personal best and he gets up to 16, pushes Griffiths into the drop zone now then. So Griffiths now finds himself down in the drop zone. Gomez up into 16th, as Fraser is up on his personal best and he gets up to 10th. That's a big improvement for Daniel Fraser. He's been been on it in qualifying recently, and he gets up into 10th. Here comes Amelia Wilson, currently in 15th position. Across the line, she will now go, and she remains in 15th as Chung improves, but only up into 13th. She's currently struggling at the moment in this session. Here comes Dudu Kirby. Across the line, he will go. He's in the drop zone, and he doesn't improve, stays in 22nd, and I think that's going to be him done with. I think he's out due to how much time there is left. Felix Sontag didn't improve. I think he's out as well. So Sontag out, as here comes Franco Gamba, is up on his personal best. Let's see what he can do. He's currently way down in 11th position. Let's see, can he get close to his teammate Miklos Gal? Across the line will go Franco Gamba, and that's much better. Up into second place goes Franco Gamba. 2-3 now for the two Red Bulls. Willows was starting a lap, in fact, as I was trying to point out earlier, but he's not improving. Willows now then comes down the pit straight, and across the line he will go, and he does not improve, stays in P8 for the moment as we look for the seconds to tick down, and Galloway needs to hurry up if he wants to get back out there, otherwise he's going to be out of qualifying. Same for this man, Jamie Griffiths, as we wait for the seconds to tick down, as now wait for the seconds to tick down now. Then 30, 29, it needs to get to 1 minute 16, otherwise that will be it then. So 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, and that is pretty much it then. So Griffiths and Galloway are out of qualifying. Galloway, a big shock, out in 18th position, and Griffiths is also out of qualifying as well. So we have our bottom six secure now then, which is Griffiths, Galloway, Sontag, Martinez, Videri, and Kirby. But a big shock there indeed, Ra. Jake Galloway only 18th.
Yep, indeed. A really big shock. Fraser picked it up. He turned it up. He's in Q2. Same with Wilson. Gomez just about made it into Q2. Same for Griffiths. He only missed up by just.
You say you called it, Lee Bailey, but you put down 7 people to be eliminated, not 6. You put, if I remind you, said both Manos, both Williams, and both Alfa Romeos. Only 6 can get eliminated. There can't be a 7th one in the form of a Renault. So, yeah, that's it. But I think the ones who probably will be celebrating, Wilson and Fraser through into Q2, Ra.
Yep, indeed. They are.
Yes, indeed, as now David Kupok obviously just getting a little bit of mileage in the Alpha Tauri as we wait to cut back to the menu screen. I think we've got to wait for him and Griffiths and Byrne to cross the line before we can officially end the session and head back into the menu screen, because that's how the AI like to work on this game. So we've got to 0, the checker flag is now out, and in fact we're just going to cut straight to the menu screen anyway. So we're going to take a look at it a few times. So Armar car top with Franco Garman in second and Miklos Gal third, and your bottom 6, Jamie Griffiths, Jake Galloway, Felix Sontag, Rosetta Martinez, Andrea Videri, and Dudu Kirby. So we're just going to take a brief pause for the moment, guys, as Yuri will set up everything for Q2, and in the meantime I'm going to try and get a photograph of Car to put up on Twitter, really. So just bear with, guys, and apologies if I go a little bit silent. But in the meantime, guys, you can let us know your prediction on who you believe will be eliminated in Q number 2. But yeah, I'll ask you in a little bit raw when that comes to it. So just waiting to get a good shot of Armar Car, really. As now I've got one. There we go. And that tweet will be coming your way in just a little bit. So that's that, really. So yeah, big shot there with Jake Galloway being eliminated in Q number 1. So that's that, really. And so putting that up on Twitter. This Galloway. There we go. Tweet is up on Twitter. So anyway, we just wait for Yuri to sort out what he needs to do for Q2, and we will get that, of course, underway. And it will be very interesting to see who's going to make it into the final part of qualifying. Whether Daniel Fraser can replicate what he did in Q number 1 and be able to get his hat into the top 10, we'll have to wait and see, of course. So that's that, really. As Now we will wait and see. Uh, we wait patiently for queue number 2 to get underway. And of course, as mentioned, guys, I'll read your predictions in just a little bit when we get out there onto the racetrack. Same with Ovaskin Row, of course. And so just waiting for the command, and then we'll get underway, of course. Um, yeah, so it looks like quite interestingly, fair to say, Ra, that Lopez probably not on the pace at the moment around here in Mexico.
Yep, indeed. Hasn't had the best of sessions at the moment, but there is time for him to find, and hopefully can turn it around.
Yeah, indeed. And maybe he's just holding back potentially for Q3, like we've seen with a few drivers over these last few qualifying sessions. But we got the screen back up, guys, and we're getting ready for Q number 2. So let's get right into it then. So, Ra, I'm going to ask you, what is your predictions on who you believe will be eliminated in Q number 2?
Hey, Wilson, Gomez, Fraser, Byrne, um, a Ferrari, and an AlphaTauri.
Okay, oddly enough, that was what I was going to say, Ra, as well. So you read my brain there. So yeah, Wilson, Fraser, Gomez, Byrne, a Ferrari, and an AlphaTauri. So, but we will wait and see if that is going to be the case, of course, as we get ready for the second part of qualifying, and we'll wait to see who's going to be first out on the racetrack now. Then here at the Mexico City circuit for Q number 2. And of course, we're hoping to try and make it through into the third part of qualifying, of course, and it'd be an added bonus if Wilson, Fraser, and Gomez could make it through into Q3 in their respective cars in this session. So let's wait and see. We've got the first car on track, and it's going to be Franco Garma that's going to be the first on track for Q number 2. So the Italian, who obviously won the Malaysian Grand Prix a couple of races ago, is going to go out onto the racetrack first then in this session. So I'm going to read out predictions that people have put down in the chat. So Lee Bailey has said 2 Ferraris, a Manor, Haas, and 2 McLarens. Okay, so he's gone very bold there with both Ferraris and both McLarens. Fonchanek has said Gomez, Wilson, Fraser, Byrne, a Ferrari, and an AlphaTauri, so same as me and Ra. And Chris has said a Manor, Alpha, Haas, a Ferrari, a Renault, and an AlphaTauri. So again, same wavelength as us, really. So anyway, we're going to get underway with this session now then. Franco Garma now then comes around the double right-hander on the racetrack as he will now make his way towards the S's, as Franco Garma will be starting his lap quite soon. So through the left, right, and then into the left he will go, as now he will be making his way through the section of corners. So through the right and then into the left-hander we will go, as he will now be approaching the stadium section. Approaching the right-hander we will go, as now he will be approaching as he's now in the stadium section, and all 16 cars, as you can see on the mini-map, have now gone out onto the racetrack, so Garma will not have to worry about any traffic at all. Again, he'll be the one setting the benchmark of time for everybody to beat, as Garma is now going to start his lap as he makes his way onto the pit straight, and Franco Garma is going to start his lap now then. So Garma comes down the pit straight as he will now make his way down towards the first corner now then in the Red Bull, as he will now approach the first corner now then, the Italian. So approaching turn 1 he will go through the right, then into the left-hander he will go, and then flicking it in through the right himself, as he will now come towards the straight now then, as now he will be approaching the left-right chicane now then he will go, as he does a 21.556 in the first sector. So through the chicane we go, and now he will approach the double right-hander. So through the double right then will go the Italian of Franco Garma before he then approaches the S's, flinging it in for the left and the right, and then into the left he will go before now approaching these next section of corners. So through the right and then into the left, and he does a 49.929 in the second sector, 50.122 for Q Park in the second sector, 50.077 for Willows, 50.146 for Rote. Not the best second sector for him, it's fair to say, as we come around these section of corners. A 49.492 in the second sector for Carr. So Carr is absolutely flying like he was in Q1 earlier. He's flying in that second sector as Garma now then comes around the final turn and onto the pit straight now. Then we'll go Franco Garma, and across the line he will go now then, and it's a 1 minute 17.317 that's going to be the benchmark of time. David Kupak crosses the line, slots into second, 2 tenths behind Franco Garma. As Willows crosses the line, he goes second himself, gets in front of Kupak. Here comes George Rote across the line, goes into fourth, as he didn't have the best second sector, it's fair to say. Daniel Fraser across the line, goes into fifth, as Armar Carr across the line goes fastest with a 1 minute 16.695, 6 tenths quicker than Franco Garma. Chung crosses the line, slots into second, gets in front of Franco Garma. Here comes Evan Byrne in the Renault, across the line he will go, and it's only good enough for 7th that time by, so again continuing to struggle in that Renault. As here comes De Rosa, who's 1 second off of Carr in the second sector, but let's see what he can do compared to his teammate Joseph Willows. Van Mansell, and then into the Peraltala we will go now then, as De Rosa comes down the pit straight, and across the line now then will go the Polish driver, soon to be Italian, and only P9 for De Rosa. He's actually slower than Fraser at the moment. Here comes Gabriel Gomez across the line, slots into 10th. Here comes Roberto Garma across the line, he will now go, and he goes into 7th. Chris Chatfield rounds the final 2 turns, and Motrin goes up to 2nd with that time there, so Motrin goes into P2 with that lap, as Chatfield goes into 10th. Here comes Amelia Wilson in the Manor, as she will now come down the pit straight, and across the line she will now go, and she does a 1 minute 19, as Lopez is only 13th. It looks like he got held up by Amelia Wilson there, and Miklos Gal only in 2nd place. So it seems that the traffic rows have come back to haunt Franco Lopez at the moment, Ra.
Yep, indeed, not good for him at all.
Especially given that he's got a chance to win the championship this week as well. But we'll have to wait and see what his second lap is going to be like, and hope that he won't have any traffic on that second lap. So like with Armar Carr on the first lap, troubles on the first lap for Franco Lopez at this point in time. But at the moment, Gal currently 1 tenth behind Carr at the moment in 2nd place. But very good times for Motrin and Chung at the moment, Ra, especially for Chung, who looked like she was struggling in Q1.
Yep, indeed. Motrin has done also the same with Chung. They have turned it up in Q2.
Indeed so, and of course, very good lap for Daniel Fraser at the moment to be up in 12th position. Of course, he was on row number 6 last time out at the United States Grand Prix, so looking for another row 6 start if he can, or maybe even better. We'll have to wait and see. But of course, Franco Lopez we haven't seen the best of yet, mainly because he did get held up by Amelia Wilson, so we'll have to wait and see what his real pace is currently like. We have seen so far that Lopez has not been on the pace compared to Carr, Gal and Franco Garma at the moment. Of course, Garma, it took him a few laps to get up to speed in Q1, but eventually he got there to get up into 2nd, and maybe he's doing that again in this session, trying to warm things up before he can get up to Gal and Carr in this session. But we will see, of course, as the mechanics just wheeled Fraser back into the pits there, and we'll be preparing for another lap quite soon, as all 16 cars are now back into the pit lane as we wait for the second flying laps to happen, as we've got the Manor going into the pit lane there, Amelia Wilson, and again she'll be preparing for her next lap quite soon, I would imagine, and she's currently only just under a 10th behind Gabriel Gomez at the moment, so a little bit of a battle there between those two at this point in time, as now we wait to see what happens then. And a little bit of a disappointing lap for Kirishima De Rosa, it's fair to say, Ra. Only 13th. There was no signs of a mistake there from the Polish driver.
Yeah, for some reason he lost 7 tenths to Carr in the middle sector, which is pretty surprising. And for him, good for him. But if he can improve, then that would be good for him. As meanwhile, Roke is out on track first.
Is indeed. So he'll be the first one to do a second lap, as will Evan Byrne. He's gone out 2nd, in fact. So both of these guys, who last season, of course, did like to collide with each other last season, and it looks like they've kind of stayed away from that at the moment, although Roke did give him a little bit of a bump tap at Kota last time out, but it's nothing quite serious. So Certes Roke will be preparing to start his next lap quite soon now then, as he makes his way through the double right-hander, and now approaching the S's, and now through into the left, right, and then into the left hand he will go, as now he will be approaching these next section of corners. So through the right and left hander he will go, as he will now be approaching the next section of corners. So now up towards the stadium section, as we wait to see if everybody comes out on track. Hopefully for Roke's sake, nobody's going to be in the way of him to spoil his second flying lap. So into the final 2 turns, then we'll go Roke, as he will now come down the pit straight to start his second flying lap of the session now. Then Wilson, Motrin and Gal are still in pit lane at the moment, so they're just waiting a little bit as Roke just starts his lap, and luckily for him, his teammate didn't hold him up there as he was just coming out of the pits in the background there. So Roke now then, who's currently down in P8 at the moment, his teammate up in 3rd place at the moment, 4 tenths off of Armar Car, just comes around the first 3 turns. Let's see what his first sector is like compared to his personal best. A 21.482 was his personal best in the first sector, and he's 14 thousandths down in fact in the first sector, but we'll have to wait and see if he can try and claw that back in the middle sector and the last sector, of course. 95 thousandths down off of Car in the first sector into the double right-hander now. Then we'll go George Roke, using as much of the curb as he can through into that part of the track. Quite an awkward part of corner that is here in Mexico, as he now makes his way around the S's section, and now through the right, left, and then into the slower part of the S's. Now then, let's see what his second sector is like compared to his personal best, and he finds himself 2 tenths down, so he's lost some more time in the second sector. So at the moment, Roke doesn't look like he's going to be improving at this stage, unless he performs some kind of miracle, of course, in that last sector, as he now goes around the stadium section now then, and he will now approach the final 2 corners now then, into the second to last corner, and now into the final turn, which is Pelotala. Down the pit straight goes George Roke, and across the line will go the future Red Bull driver, and no improvement for him as his teammate Motrin starts his next flying lap. Bernie's up on his personal best, and he gets up to 3rd, so that's more like it for the Renaults. Byrne now up into P number 3. Here comes Loa Chung now then, as she now comes down the pit straight. Chung crosses the line, no improvement for her, she stays in 5th, as Car is now the one who's getting held up by Wilson this time by, so it's the other Mercedes' turn to get held up by the Manor. Car does not improve, stays on 1 minute 16.695. Cupot now then, he's not up on his personal best, and he's currently in 8th position, just in front of George Roke, as Cupot now then crosses the line, no improvement, stays in 8th, as Daniel Fraser crosses the line, currently 12th, stays in 12th for the moment, as here comes Joseph Willows, as Gomez goes up to 11th, a big improvement for him. Willows doesn't improve, and Gamba didn't improve either, his cousin doesn't improve either. De Rosa is not improving, but Lopez is just behind him now then, so De Rosa crosses the line, and he doesn't improve, stays in 14th. Lopez goes fastest by 4 tenths of a second, so that's much better for Franco Lopez. He's now up there with Gal, Car, and you could say Gamba if he is trying to still build up some speed. So he goes on a 1 minute 16.278. So Lopez to the top of the timing sheet. So here comes Chris Chatfield now, then currently in the drop zone, down in 13th position across the line, and he improves but stays in 13th. Found some time in the last sector, but still in the drop zone. Here comes Roland Motrin. He's not up on his personal best. Don't know if his teammate had anything to do with it, but he doesn't improve and he stays in 5th position. Wilson now on her lap now then. I don't know if Car had interfered in her lap at all or whatever, but she is 2 seconds down off of Lopez, but 2 tenths down on her personal best in the second sector. In fact, she was up on her personal best in the first sector, so maybe Car did have something to do with it, who knows. But Wilson comes down the pit straight, and across the line she will now go, and she stays in 16th. No improvement for her at this stage, so we may get one more lap in for most of the guys. We'll have to wait and see, of course, as we have just over 4.5 minutes to go in queue number 2. And so now Chung gets wheeled back into the garage. Same will go with David Kupok, as we now wait for the next cars to go, see if anybody else will do a third and final flying lap in this session. We've just under 4 minutes and 20 seconds to go, and so far in the drop zone, Roberto Gamba, Gabriel Gomez, Chris Chatfield, Daniel Fraser, Kirishima De Rosa, and Emilio Wilson. So again, Kiro really struggling, Ra.
Yep, indeed. He's not running the lap in to get into Q3, and it's not good for him. And Gomez did a good lap. He was 11th. He was very close to getting into the top 10, but was inevitable to be dropped out of the top 10.
Indeed, and we'll wait to see if anybody else will do a third flying lap. And speaking of which, they are going to, because George Roke is coming out on the track, so he'll be doing one more flying lap before the session comes to a close. And in a way, he kind of needs to, really, because he is in the cusp of the top 10 right now, and surprisingly hasn't been able to find any time to try and improve at the moment. At this stage, will anybody else join him? In fact, could all of them actually join him in time? Well, Wilson's still pedaling around the track at the moment, so might be a bit tight for her, but we'll have to wait and see, of course. As
I'll be back in a bit.
Okay, I'll continue the commentary in Ra's absence. So Roke now then comes towards the chicane now then, so for the left and right-hander he will go now then, as Evan Byrne has come out onto the racetrack. So there's now 2 cars on track wanting to do one more flying lap before the end of Q2. As Roke now then approaches Yes is now then, so flicking it in through the left right, and then into the left he will go now then, before approaching the next section of corners now then. So flicking it in through the right, then the left, and now Roke will make his way down towards this little back straight. Car has gone out onto the racetrack, as has Kirishima DeRosa. He's given himself one more chance to try and get himself through into Q2, and he needs to, really, because he's down in 15th. His teammate Willows is also out on track as well, as is Daniel Fraser. He's given himself one more chance to try and get through into Q2. So is our Laura Chung. She's out on track now then, as Roke now rounds the final 2 turns. He'll be hoping that nobody blocks him as he's about to start his final flying lap of Q number 2 now then, as he comes down the pit straight. Gomez has gone on track. He's going to give himself one more chance to try and get his Alfa Romeo through into Q number 2. Roke's not going to get any traffic, so he'll get a clean lap in like last lap. Roke now then goes down towards the first 3 corners now then, so flicking it in for the right, then into the left-hander he will go, and then into the right he will go as well, as Roberto Garma has given himself one more chance as well. Chatfield and Wilson have not gone out just yet at this point in time. Everybody in the top 10 has gone out on track, as Roke is actually up on his personal best in the first sector by 22 thousandths of a second. 1/10 down on Lopez, though, in the first sector. As Chatfield has gone out, he's given himself one more chance. Will Wilson go back out on track? She was still pedaling around the 3-minute 30 mark, so let's see if she does go out and see if all 16 cars do go out for one more flying lap. As Roke goes around the S's section now then, let's see what his sector time is going to be like. Let's see if he's still going to be up on the def panel. Keep an eye on the top right of your screen, and he is. He's found a lot of time in the middle sector. 3/10 up on his personal best, half a second down on Lopez in the second sector. And Wilson has gone out, so all 16 cars will get one more flying lap in before the session comes to a close. So through the stadium section now then goes George Roke through the right-hander. And now coming around Mansell and then into the final turn will go George Roke. Let's see what he can do. He's currently down in 10th. He feels like he needs to improve in case somebody in the bottom 6 improves and pushes him downwards. Roke crosses the line. What can he do? And he goes up to 5th. That's a big improvement for him. He gets in front of his teammate Motrin. That's much better for him. Meantime, Evan Byrne is not improving, but I think he's safe anyway because he's up in 4th position. So it's not going to be the end of the world for him too much as he now rounds the stadium section. Through the left-hander he goes, and now through the right. Now heading towards the final 2 corners then will go Evan Byrne. It's through Mansell and then into the parallel Tala. And Byrne, can he find a miracle in the last sector to try and see if he can improve a little bit more on that 4th position? Across the line he will go. And no, he doesn't. 7/10 off his personal best. Carr, meanwhile, is up on his personal best. But how close is he perhaps to Lopez? Let's find out as he comes around the final turn and onto the pit straight goes Armar Carr. Can he get himself back to the top of the timing sheets? Carr across the line. He will now go. And yes, he can. A 1 minute 16.036, the quickest we have seen on this track so far. Carr goes fastest by 2/10 of a second. Willows had a little bit of a wiggle through him today, and he's only in 9th. And he finds some time in the last sector, but stays in 9th. His teammate, meanwhile, is improving. Can he get himself out of the drop zone? DeRosa across the line, and no, he can't. He improves, but only into 14th, so DeRosa is out. 1 McLaren out in qualifying. Here comes Daniel Fraser now then. Across the line, he will go. Last chance for him to get himself through into Q2, and he doesn't improve. He is out. He stays in 15th. Laura Chung comes around the final turn. She's currently 7th. I think she'll be fine anyway, but let's see. Chung across the line. No improvement. Stays in 7th. Here comes David Kupak. He's not up on his personal best, and he's in the cusp of the top 10. Across the line goes Kupak, and he doesn't improve, so he's got to pray that he can make it through into Q3. As Gomez crosses the line, and he doesn't improve. Stays in 12th. He's out. Lopez got held up, but he's safe anyway because he's up in second. Gal is not up on his personal best either. The checkered flag has now come out to signify the end of Q2. As Gamba was up on his personal best, but it looks like his cousin may have held him up there. So we'll have to wait and see on that unless it gets a healthy bit of slipstream from him down the pit straight. Here comes Miklos Gal now then. Across the line he will now go. No improvement. Stays in P3. As we now look at the Ferrari in front, as Franco Gamba improves to go up to 4, but Roberto Gamba doesn't. He's out. Roberto Gamba is out. He stays in 11th, so 1 Ferrari down. Motrin crosses the line, no improving, and Motrin stays in P number 7. As Chris Chatfield's up on his personal best, he might boot his own teammate out of qualifying here. Chatfield crosses the line, and he goes only up to 11th, so he doesn't beat his teammate, so Chatfield is out of qualifying. His teammate, on the other hand, might have made it through because Wilson is not improving. She's 6/10 down on her personal best in the middle sector. Coming around the stadium section now, then we'll go the American driver as she will now approach the hairpin now then. So through the left-hander, she will go through the left and then into the right-hander now. Then she will go before approaching the final 2 turns on the racetrack, so into the second to last corner, and then around the final corner will come Amelia Wilson, and let's see what she can do now then. She now comes down the pit straight. I don't think she's going to improve. I think she's going to be out of it. Across the line then will go Wilson, and no improvement. She stays in 16th, so she is out. So there you have it then. Q-Pot just saving himself there, and he's through into Q3. So your top three, Amar Carr, Franco Lopez, and Miko Ascal. And the 6 drivers who are out of qualifying are Chris Chatfield, Roberto Gamba, Gabriel Gomez, Kirishima DeRosa, Daniel Fraser, and Amelia Wilson. So what do you make of that session overall, Ra?
Yeah, pretty interesting session. Pretty much missed the entire 3 minutes remaining, but seeing Kipok in there just about making it through, good enough. Chapman missing out. DeRosa will be a bit disappointed about that. Gomez a bit impressive to be 13th, pretty close to the Ferrari of Roberto Gamba, and Fraser did okay to be close with DeRosa.
Indeed, so another good qualifying for Daniel Fraser. Well, we're just going to take a brief pause, and then we'll be back for Q number 3, of course. We'll just wait for Yuri to do his settings, and in the meantime, I'll just tweet out for the moment. Just bear with, guys, and Q3 will get underway in just a few moments' time. But in the meantime, you can predict who you believe is going to take pole position for tomorrow's Mexico City Grand Prix. 71 laps the race will be tomorrow, so let us know your prediction on who you believe will take pole position for tomorrow's race. I'll ask your prediction in just a little bit, Ra, as I will put up the tweet right now then. So. Decided to skip forward for some reason whilst I was doing the results there. Typical. So. And there we go. That's the tweet sent there then. So we just wait for Q2 to get underway. But in the meantime, guys, you can let us know your prediction on who you believe will take pole position for tomorrow's Mexico City Grand Prix as we wait for Q3 to get underway here at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. As Q3, sorry, I don't know if I said something else there. I apologize. As pretty disappointing qualifying for Kirishima DeRosa, you'd have to say, Ra, and being eliminated in the end.
Yep, indeed. He will have him mounted to climb. He has any chance of getting some good points.
As we've now got Q3 getting underway. So, Ra, I'm going to ask your prediction. Who do you believe will take pole position for tomorrow's race?
I'm going to say Franco Lopez.
Okay, I'm going to go with Amar Carr. I'm going to go the other Mercedes on that one. But we will wait and see, of course, because so far Carr has topped every session in here in Mexico. Let's see if he can keep that up in Q number 3. But again, guys, you can let us know your predictions in the stream chat. I'm not seeing anybody put a prediction down just yet. So that's that really, as we wait for the loading screen to disappear. It's a bit of a long one, the Mexico one, but not as long as Baku, of course. But anyway, we are now in the garage as we get set for Q number 3, and of course. It will be interesting to see who will take pole position for tomorrow's Mexico City Grand Prix. Of course, last season, this was also one of the races where the Mercedes took each other out, specifically at Turn 1. They'll be hoping not to do that this season, and especially for Franco Lopez, who'll be hoping to win the championship this week as well. But he will have a second chance to win it in Abu Dhabi, of course, if he doesn't win it here this week. So we'll have to wait and see on that, as Willows is going out on track first now then. Willows is going to be the first one out on track for Q number 3. And there's still no prediction in the stream chat, guys. You're a bit quiet at the moment, which is a bit surprising. As now going through the first 3 turns on the racetrack, then we'll go Willows, as George Roke is also going to join him out on track. So he's going to be second out on track. And of course, Willows, won here last season, driving for Ferrari. And of course, to date, that's his last win in the top class. But so far, of course, driving the midfield McLaren team, it's been a little bit of a tricky adjustment for Willows. I think he knew that when he joined the team anyway, because he's hoping that the team will turn around next season in the fantasy era. But we'll have to to wait and see. You never know, of course. Something lucky could happen for Willows here to make it 2 wins in a row here in Mexico. But to be honest, I highly doubt it. I think this season, will be the season where his winning streak will come to an end. But we will wait and see. As Willows now then makes his way down towards the stadium section. As now we've got some predictions. So Laura Chung has said Armar car for pole, but she also said as well Armar stole my car pole. As Daniel Fraser says Armar for pole, Bailey has said car for pole, and Von Chanek has gone with Lopez for pole. So meanwhile, Willows has now started then his first flying lap of Q3. All 10 cars are now out on the racetrack as he's just started his lap. As he will now make his way towards the first 3 turns on the racetrack now then. As it's obviously a short first sector at this point now then. So through turn 1, then into turn 2, then we'll go Joseph Willows, and then into turn 3 he will go, flicking the car in through these section of corners as he'll now make his way down the back straight before approaching the end of sector 1, and he does a 21.531 in the first sector now then as he makes his way towards the left-right chicane, so flinging it in for the left, then into the right he will go, using all the curb on the inside before approaching the double right-hander as George Roke does a 21.524 in the first sector, so only 7 thousandths up on Willows in the first sector. 21.467 for Carr in the first sector, 21.568 in the first sector for Garber, so in fact he's slower than both Roke and Willows in the first sector, I believe, if I've got that correct. Yes, he is, only by a little bit though. Willows has a 49.985 in the second sector now then as he now approaches the stadium section as he'll flip the car in through the right-hander as now he will approach the hairpin now then as the infamous dog commentator is there in the background, so enjoy that as now coming through into the last 2 turns on the racetrack we go, and now going around the final corner and onto the pit straight we will go now then. Let's see what Joseph Willows can do. And the benchmark time is a 1 minute 17.341. Here comes George Roke rounding the final 2 turns. In fact, he was actually down on Willows in the second sector. He was 7 thousandths up in the first, but lost time to Willows only by 11 thousandths though in the second sector. But let's see what he can do in last sector. Roke crosses the line and he goes second, 71 thousandths off of Willows. Here comes Armar Carr, who's been flying so far here in qualifying and predictably goes fastest, but only by 2 tenths of the Willows, surprisingly. A 1 minute 17.0. Franco Gama slots to 4th as Gal goes fastest now with a 1 minute 16.761. Got a healthy bit of slipstream there, so he goes quicker by nearly 3 tenths out of Armar Carr. Here comes Davey Kupok now, then comes around the final corner and onto the pit straight now. Then we'll go the German as he will now cross the line. What can he do? And he goes into 3rd. A very good time there for Davey Kupok. Gets in front of Joseph Willows for the moment. Laura Chung now then in the Ferrari crosses the line and she goes 7th. Goes behind Franco Gamba. Evan Byrne in the Renault crosses the line himself and he goes into 4th. Slots behind Kupok. Here comes Roland Motrin in the Racing Point. Across the line he will go. Only P8 for him as here comes Franco Lopez and he goes only 4th that time. Kupok with a very strong first lap, it's fair to say, Ra. P3 at the moment. Did Lopez make a mistake? Let's have a look as he goes into the stadium section. Yes, he did. You can just see the wiggle there as he just went into the stadium section, but it only lost him a little bit of time because it's fair to say he was still down on Gal in the second sector. They'd already passed the second sector and then it led to another lockup into the hairpin. So he could have possibly maybe 3rd or even on the front row, but he still would have been down on Gal either way. But a very good first lap for Davey Kupok, you'd have to say, Ra.
Yep, indeed. And going back to Lopez, he was up on Gal in the first sector, so I'm not sure if he lost because he lost. He pretty much lost. He was a tenth down in the middle sector, pretty much lost over 2 tenths. I don't know if he made another mistake there, but we don't know. But I don't think he has. But yeah,
either that or Gal, as we presume, had set a really good middle sector to get himself into the top spot at the moment, but surprisingly enough, Carr is not at the top, but still, we've got just over 10 minutes to go. Anything could still happen. Carr may be hiding 1 or 2 tricks up his sleeve, potentially, to try and top every session here at Mexico this season, as Willows now then will be heading, we'll back into the garage, as you were saying, Ross, sorry?
I was going to say, Red Bull have done the teamwork, because Franco Gamba helped Miklos Gal, to be fair.
Ah, yes, he was the one. He slipstream, of course, but Franco down in 8th. But as we've seen in the previous 2 sessions, it does take him a little bit to get him up to speed, really. So maybe watch out on the 3rd flying lap to see what Franco Gama can do. Or who knows? Maybe he's gonna wait. He's gonna go full beans on the 2nd lap. We'll have to wait and see, of course. As David Kupok has pulled back into the garage, a very good first lap for him. Indeed. Remember when he started in 3rd for the Australian Grand Prix? Yeah, it didn't really go well in the race, didn't it? So much so that Flo made a meme out of it for it on his channel. So that's that really, is Roland Motrin into his garage now then as we wait for the next car to go out on track. Who's going to be first for the second runs? We'll have to wait and see, of course, as Motrin will get wheeled back into the garage as he's now getting wheeled back in, and he's now getting wheeled back into the garage as Motrin will be preparing for his next lap quite soon then. I would imagine that who was maybe Willows to go out first again, but we will see. And so at the moment, Gal top, Car second, Q-Pock in third, followed by Lopez fourth, Burn fifth, Willows in sixth, Roke seventh, Franco Gamba eighth, Motra ninth, and Chung in tenth. And no, it's not going to be Willows. It's going to be first on track this time. It's going to be Franco Gamba. He wants a clear run to see if he can get himself close to his teammate and try and make it a Red Bull front row lockout if he can. Unless Car is hiding, so we know that Lopez is hiding maybe a little bit more time, but not as much as we anticipated, because he was still down on Gal despite that mistake, because he was down on Gal before he made that mistake, I should say. So we should see some more time from Lopez and also Gamba as well, and maybe even Car and Gal could even find a little bit more time themselves, but we'll see. As Gamba rounds the chicane now then, as he'll make his way towards the double right-hander now then, as he will now approach the S's, as he'll be hoping he doesn't get held up on his second flying lap. As again, dog commentator back again, typical of my dog. But anyway, as Gamba now then just makes his way through the section of corners, and for some reason the Wikipedia is not loading up because I was trying to see. Obviously, because I know Gal is taking pole, but I don't know if he's taken more than one pole this season. And for some reason, the Wikipedia isn't loading up for me for some reason. There we go, back up eventually. Must have been a little server error going on the Wikipedia, and it would be his second pole if he was able to achieve that. But still, plenty of time to go. Still, just over 7.5 minutes to go. As Gamba has just started his second flying lap, and luckily for him, no traffic in front, so he'll be able to get a clean lap in. So let's see what he's able to achieve then. As Gamba makes his way towards the first few turns on the racetrack, through turn 1, then into turn 2 he will go, and then into turn 3. Let's see what his first sector is going to be like now then, and is it going to be up? He is by 20 thousandths of a second, but still 96 thousandths down on Gal in the first sector. But let's see what his second sector is going to be like, because that's where most of the time is going to be gained, along with the third sector as well. So through the double right-hander will go the Italian now then, as he now comes towards the S's section now then, as he flicks the car in for the left, then into the right he will go, then left again, and then into the next right-hander he goes. Let's see what his second sector is going to be like. And he is 5 tenths down off of Gal, and still 20 thousandths up on his personal best. But he did seem to lose a little bit of time on that second sector, and I think he just had a little wiggle there going through the S's. So it might not be a big of improvement as we are expecting from Gamba, but let's see, unless he finds a miracle in this last sector as he just comes around the stadium section, through Mansell, and then into the final corner of the Pelotala now then. Gamba comes down the pit straight and across the line will go the Italian, and he improves but stays in 8th position, so maybe more time to find, as Willows is up on his personal best meanwhile, as he goes around the final 2 turns down the pit straight, then goes Joseph Willows. Let's see what he can do. He's currently in 6th as the 2-time champion crosses the line, and he loses time, in fact, in the last sector. He loses time and stays where he is. As Roke goes up to 3rd, a big improvement for him there. Lopez down on his personal best again, though, in the middle sector. Did he make another mistake? Because he was up on his personal best as Lopez crosses the line and does not improve. Did Lopez make another mistake? Let's see. As let's have a look and yes, he did. You can just see there a little bit of understeer going through into the chicane there. So another mistake for Lopez. Clearly, he's pushing way too hard, in fact, and probably getting a little bit frustrated potentially, as he again didn't improve and stays in 5th position. Motrin crosses the line and only improves up to 9th, so nowhere near his team at the moment. Carr is up on Gal, though. He's 1/10 up on him in the second sector. So let's see what Carr is able to do in the last sector. As long as he doesn't mess this up, he should go back to the top of the time. He should go to the top of the timing sheets. Let's see. Carr around the final turn, down the pit straight, and can he get himself to the top? Amar Carr across the line, and yes he can by 3/10 of a second at 1:16.415. Byrne crosses the line, goes up to 4th, a big improvement for him. David Q-Pot now then in the AlphaTauri, currently in P5 and stays in P5 for the moment. Chung is up on her personal best as she now makes her way through the section of corners. 6 tenths down on Carr, but 4 tenths up on her personal best. Chung now then down the pit straight and across the line she will go, and she goes only up to 8th that time by, as Miklos Gal does not improve and stays in second place, so he's not able to dethrone Carr once again. But they are the second flying laps done, and Carr back to the top of the timing sheets. He was hiding a bit of pace there, it seems.
Yep, indeed. So far, well, for him, it's looking good. Lopez way off the pace. He couldn't find it. He couldn't really hack it at the moment, and big mistakes is really costing him.
Indeed, but they should be able to get one more flying lap in before the end of the session. We saw it obviously in the previous sessions. One more flying lap for all 10 of these guys, and to see if they can find a little bit more improvement, especially for Lopez, who twice now has made a mistake.
Yep, indeed. But for the third time the charm, but if I'm making another mistake, it could be pole position gone.
Indeed so, and Lopez has also, it's fair to say, been one of those drivers who has made quite a few mistakes during qualifying this season, and really, he, as I said, he's got a good chance of winning the championship this week here in Mexico. But if it were to stay as it is in the race, if it were to stay in this good position, then the championship would continue on for another race at the very least. So that's that really, because of course Lopez needs to outscore both Carr and Gal if he's got any chance of winning the championship tomorrow. So there's Byrne now then is in pit lane as we wait for who's going to go out first for their third and final run. And last chance for people to try and get pole position for tomorrow's race here at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. As Kupop makes his way back into the pit lane himself. And we'll wait and see who's going to be next to go out on the racetrack now then. As meanwhile, so the current leaderboard then is Carr top, Gal in second, Roke in third, Byrne fourth, followed by Kupok in fifth, Lopez sixth, Willows seventh, Chung in eighth, Franco Gama ninth, and Mottram completing the top 10. And it's going to be Willows who's going out first this time by, rather than Franco Lopez, so he's going to do what he did earlier. So Willows is going to be the first one to do his third and final flying lap of Q number 3. So he currently finds himself in 7th position. As Willows now then races towards the first few turns on the racetrack. Franco Gamba has also come out onto the racetrack, giving himself one last chance to try and see if he can mingle with Carr and Gal, and like he did, so maybe the third flying lap, third lucky charm for Gamba. As mentioned, as we've seen in the previous sessions, it is the third lap. He likes to warm himself up a bit. Whether it will still be the case here in Q3, though, that's going to be another question. Roke has also gone out onto the racetrack now then, so there's 3 cars out on track, as Willows now then just makes his way through the double right-hander now then, as he will now make his way towards the S's. Lopez has gone out, giving himself one more chance to try and see if he can get into the mix with Carr and Gal. As now through the S's now then we go. Carr has gone out there to see if he can try and better his pole time, and so has anybody else. Just Gal, Byrne, Q-Park, Chung and Mottram we're just waiting for now. As now going through the stadium section, then it goes Jose Wells. Hopefully there's no traffic in front for him to get a clean lap in. So far we haven't seen any traffic issues so far from the guy who's gone out first, but maybe that's going to change in just a little bit. Through the Mansell corner now then, as Q-Pock I think has just gone out onto the track now then, as Willows comes down the pit straight, as somebody else has also gone on the track. That was Mottrin. Look to the right hand side, see if there's any traffic, and no there won't be, so Willows will get a clean lap in. Clean final lap in as Chung, Byrne and Gal are still on track. Make that just Gal and Chung now, because Byrne has just come out onto the racetrack. So Gal and Chung just waiting a little bit more to go out to do their final flying lap. Chung has just gone out, so just waiting for Gal now, as Willows will be approaching the end of the third sector and Gal is out. So all 10 drivers will get one more lap in before the end of the session, as Willows 5 thousandths down on his personal best in the first sector and 1/10 down on Carr in the first sector. So he can still try and recover that in the second and third sector, but we will wait and see as he now roams around the double right-hander now then. We're just under 1.5 minutes to go in this qualifying session to determine the grid for tomorrow's Mexico City Grand Prix. Through the S's now then we go, through the left, right, then left we will go now then, as Willows makes his way through the right and left-hander himself. Let's see what the second sector is like for him, and he's 2/10 down, so he's lost more time in that second sector, so it doesn't look like that Willows is going to improve this time by, but we will wait and see, of course. Into the stadium section then goes Willows as he now approaches the hairpin. Through the left-hander we go, and then into the right will go Joseph Willows. And now through the final couple of corners then, into the second to last corner, and then around the final corner will come Joseph Willows now then. Let's see if he can improve on his time now then, as Willows He's now going to come across the line. I doubt he will, but let's see. And no, he doesn't. He stays in 7th. Burns starting a lap as here comes Franco Gamba, who's down on his personal best, and he stays in 9th. So a disappointing qualifying for Franco Gamba. The times that we saw in the previous 2 sessions didn't come for Franco Gamba, and he's got it all to do in the race tomorrow. George Rowe crosses the line, and no improvement for him. Stays in 3rd as Gal starts his lap, but he might get held up as Lopez is improving, and he was up on Carr in the 1st sector, but then lost time in the 2nd sector. But at least this time it wasn't because of a mistake. It was more because the car set a very good 2nd sector. Here comes Lopez now then through the final turn. Can he get onto the front row? Let's see. Lopez down the pit straight and across the line will go the championship leader, and yes he can. It's a Mercedes front row lockout. Lopez goes 2nd as a result. Carr across the line, no improvement, stays where he is. Here comes David Kupok, who's down on his personal best and continuing to be down on his personal best. 2 tenths down on his personal best in the middle sector now then as he makes his way towards the stadium section. So through the right hand he will go as he will now make his way towards the hairpin, so flinging it in through the left, then to the right, and then into the final 2 corners. Then will go David Kupok into the Mansell corner, and now into the pedal Tyler we will now go. Let's see what David Kupok is able to achieve as the German now then comes across the line, and he doesn't improve, stays in P number 6 as Motrin currently down in 10th. He stays in 10th, so not a good qualifying for him. Byrne gets a little bit, I think, got a little bit wobbly there through there, but he's not up on his personal best. Byrne comes down the pit straight, and across the line will go the Irishman in the Renault, and he stays in P number 5. As now we look at Laura Chung, who's down on her personal best in the 2nd sector. She's currently in P8 at the moment as Chung comes down the pit straight and across the line. She will now go, and she doesn't improve, stays where she is at the moment. And Gal does not improve, good, did get held up and stays in P number 3 indeed there. And there you have it then. So as a result of that, it is Amar Carr who has topped every session here in Mexico, and he has taken pole position for tomorrow's Mexico City Grand Prix. So we're going to shut up for a moment and allow you to see the pole lap set by Amar Carr. And that is our Amar Carr took pole position for tomorrow's Mexico City Grand Prix. That's going to get clipped, isn't it, on the OC quotes? But anyway, that is how he took pole position, topped every session, and pretty much dominated it, really. Didn't look like any doubt in mind that he was going to get pole position at all. But the question is, can he save his championship chances tomorrow? He's got Lopez on the front row for tomorrow's race. So if Carl wants to save his championship chances, he's got to finish ahead of him, or at least not be outscored by so many points from Franco Lopez. But that is pole position for Amar Kar. And we are now going to take a look at the top 10 then. So here is the grid then. Amar Kar on pole with Franco Lopez in second, Miklos Gal third with George Roque fourth, Evan Byrne fifth, David Kupok in sixth, followed by Joseph Willows in seventh, Laura Chong in eighth, Franco Gambo a disappointing ninth, and Roland Motrin a disappointing 10th. So what do you make of that session overall, Ra?
Yeah, pretty interesting session. Lopez got a lap in there together at the end. Of course, it wasn't enough for pole position, but Almacar just dominated it, took pole position, and he pretty much deserves it.
Indeed so. Well, that is it then for the qualifying session here for the Mexico City Grand Prix. Hope you've enjoyed it. It was a very, very enjoyable session. And Amar Kar, can he save his championship chances tomorrow? We'll have to wait and see. Of course, we don't do the commentary for the race tomorrow. Of course, we let George do that, of course, for the highlights. But in the meantime, that has been it. Hope you enjoyed it. So thank you all for watching. IBJW97. He's been Ra. And we'll see you tomorrow at 5 p.m. BST for the 71 lap Mexico City Grand Prix. Till then, take care.
Bye.